Hi, thanks for dropping in. If you saw my last episode, I was looking at how the Zoom H1 dramatically improves the audio if you haven't got an input on your camera for a microphone. This episode, we're going to look at other options, other recorders that you can use to capture really good audio. This is the Zoom H1N. It has two built-in mics, so you get stereo recordings, and they're faced inwards so that you get a good front image. An external mic or lavalier can be fitted onto it, and the line-out socket can be used for headphones, or it can be fed to the camera, although to be honest I find this output a little bit noisy. The N version, which is the new version, has an audio button which allows you to select the type of audio you want to record, the quality, and whether it's a WAV or MP3. The low cut does as it says, takes out the bottom end. The limiter is useful in that it stops you peaking in your recordings, but it does add a little bit of internal noise. And of course there's an auto level, which is handy again on the front because you can switch it in or out really quickly. The display on the H1N is actually quite small, so if you wear glasses it might be difficult to read, but it's not too bad, and generally I do cope, with a bit of a squint that is. The Tascam DR-05 is just a little bit bigger than the H1N, and it also has two microphones. This time though, the microphones point outwards, not inwards, so if you want to record ambience, this would work better, although it doesn't focus perhaps quite as well right in front. The input is for a lavalier or an external mic, as long as it has a mini jack plug. The limiter on the DR-05 works in a slightly different way to the Zoom H1N. On the H1N, the peaks are just cut and then the volume comes back to where you set it. But on the DR-05, if there is a peak and it gets cut, the volume stays there and it doesn't come back up again. The Zoom H4n is a bigger recorder than the other two, and it also has two mics giving you stereo. The difference with the mics though is that they can be angled in or out. You just twist them, so you twist the capsules to get a wider capture. The only thing with this is you've got to be very careful because you could have one twisted so that it's picking up from further out than the other one, so you could get a weird stereo image. But this one will focus well on the front if you have them switched in, and if you switch them out it's good for ambience as well, so you get the best of both. It has two XLR inputs and they supply 24 or 48 volt phantom power. It also has a mini jack input on the back for a lavalier or a small microphone. The only thing with this, it's not supportable really, because if the plug is sticking out the back it's not so easy to put into your pocket. So this is a kind of a semi-portable unit. The Tascam DR-60E has no onboard microphones at all, but it does have two XLR inputs which are supplied with 24 or 48 volts phantom power, and also a 1/4 inch socket for a lavalier or a miniature shotgun mic. You can screw the camera to the top of this little unit, while the bottom has a screw thread so that you can get it onto a tripod. It has a very powerful line out, and so if you've got it underneath your camera on the tripod, you can then wire it straight into your camera and give it a really strong signal, and this is an excellent output, very low noise. The display though is also quite small, and the menu system for some might be a little bit complex, but this is a great recorder. The Tascam DR-10 is a tiny little recording unit, so it's dead easy to put in your pocket or just put onto your belt. The display on this is tiny, it's only one line, so you have to do a bit of scrolling to get through the menu system, but once set up it's fine. To be honest, I find it's best to just set it and go and leave it there. It has just one mini jack input, and so you can only fit a lavalier or a little shotgun type microphone onto this one. One thing that this recorder has though is a safety track, which is really handy. What this means is it records in stereo, but one track is recorded at the level that you set, while the other track is recorded 6 or 12 dB lower, which enables you in post, if you want to suddenly switch to the other track if you get a peak. The Saramonic SR-VRM1 is another little portable recorder designed for on-the-fly use, but instead of using lavaliers, this one provides phantom power and has an XLR input. You simply click your XLR microphone into the top of the unit, and that's all you need to do, except set the levels. That's easier said than done though, because the problem is if you're speaking into the top, into the microphone, you can't actually see the display. So when I set the levels, before I go out, I stand in front of a mirror and watch the levels there in the reflection, because you can't see that screen. The display itself is pretty small, so I tend to set it in the mirror and then forget it, leave it. So I set it on the low side and then boost it in post. Generally that works out for me. Out of all the recorders I've shown you here, I think this one has probably the highest noise floor, which means really it's better to use it in the noisier kinds of places so that that noise floor is hidden away. I hope you like my videos. If you do, please subscribe. For me, please put a thumbs up, it helps me as well, and I'm trying to really push my little mini series, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers for now.